Chris, straight off the stage.
How
have you found it?
It's been brilliant. Yeah, really exciting. I mean, even just walking here this morning, you could see the backdrop of Westminster, the purple gamma flags outside the front of the venue. It's just something else. So striking, so energetic. You get here before the customers, you get here before anyone else turns up. You've got this space and it's suddenly filled up through the course of the morning. And you get into the main room, you listen to your keynote to Dave, setting the scene, big picture stuff. And this energy that's flowing through the room, it's just been absolutely spot on. So
there's been a lot we've unpacked.
Yep.
I want to switch the lens on things that I know that you're really, really, really passionate about. And the first one, which for me is, I think, been a long time coming, if I'm completely honest with you, because what we sell, if you look at it through that lens, is a lot.
Yes.
And it's quite hard to really bring that into more of a simplistic view.
Yeah.
So we launched the Gamma Elements,
Yep.
okay? Talk us through the process that you and the team went through to arrive at that.
Yeah.
And then I'd like you to just lean into why you felt it was so important and why you've been so passionate about getting us to this point.
Sure. So if you think one of the other sort of sessions today has been ask why. So when Andrea joined, we were really lucky to get her to come in, and we asked, one of her first jobs was name a product. And like you say, you look at that wheel of all the things that we can do, and you kind of go, well, show me where it is. What does it mean? And you're very passionate about customer outcomes, speaking the language of the customer. And you realize when you look at everything we do written down in black and white on a piece of paper, and it's got FTTP this, ADSL that, ISDN this, no one knows. That's not true. Of course, CIOs know it. They know it inside out and back to front. But you're not always speaking to a CIO. You've got to convince a procurement guy, a business guy. You need to speak the customer's language. And so you then go, okay, what actually do we do? What problems do we solve? And you then go down that route to become a bit more human about things. And you realize that there's groups of things that we do. You know, the elements rather go enable, connect, experience, secure, toolbox for a reason. They are descriptors of what that each element does. And if you can speak that language, then it sort of doesn't matter what products you have. Because obviously we're here today talking about enterprise, public sector clients, larger organizations. But actually a telephone call is a telephone call is a telephone call. And we need as Gamma to be able to speak the language of any of our customers, so that if a large government department comes towards us, or the garage around the corner, they know that Gamma's a place where they can get connected. And it's our job then as an organization to work out as they step towards us, well, actually, if you're in the market for a connect solution and you're a 10,000 employee business, you need to go here. And if you're a 10 employee business, you need to go here. So for me, Elements is critical in helping us put together the portfolio in a way that resonates with customers. Now, there's also, everybody can argue about the labels and the names. That's just life, isn't it? But for me, you get one label, you can organize and focus and drive then the whole organization behind a set of strategies that bring together those elements into the final piece, which is solutions, which is obviously where your passion lies. And you go, do you know what? That is the key, isn't it? Solve that problem, put the elements together to solve the problem. And that's for me why it really stands up. You go back to human language, solving problems, driving outcomes, making it consumable, and giving us as the organization, as a commercial business, obviously, the chance to drive people to the best outcome for themselves and for us. And that for me is where Elements sits in it. That consolidating focal point that everything we have runs through. And it takes away what is a name. Actually, we've got a category. Doesn't matter what's under the category, you go into that element.
No, exactly that. There's a little bit you said there that I love when you said, because they're good together.
Yeah, they're
when
good
you bring
together.
Elements together, they're good together.
Yeah.
We call that a solution, don't we? So for me, the clarity that it's given us, we've always been very, very focused on the business problems. We've always been good at that overarching value narrative. I've always felt as Gamma, we've then jumped straight into the weeds. Yeah. So we've gone from the sort of the high level business value straight into the detail. And it kind of feels like we've got this connecting layer now with the Gamma Elements that allows you to deal with the sort of the pyramid of detail, because you do need to get down to the detail, don't you? Yeah. And there's especially when we think about what we do in enterprise markets, I mean, we're selling to 15, 20, 30 different people potentially in a single account. And each one has a different layer of detail and that they want to really operate at. So it's certainly been it's been a long time coming, Chris. It feels like it's been the missing piece.
Credit to the team. I mean, you said something there actually, which enables us. If you can describe what you do simply, then it's easy to go to a customer you've already got and go, how do you solve this problem? And actually, for me, it's then an enabler of that land and expand inside a customer as well. If you can show them a real simple picture on a page, we can do these things for you, then you've got that journey that you can go on with that customer as well, haven't you?
I'm going to go to the next piece here, which I know we've spoken a lot about Cisco today. Before we get there, because in previous GXs we've spent a lot of time with some of our other very large tech giants. Okay,
very
Microsoft
important partners,
and Amazon AWS. So when we look at those three, certainly within the markets that we operate within, they really are the big three that we see all of our customers leaning into. And certainly we see our role as helping to sort of deconflict some of the things that they're saying and to contextualize and bring the value together to make sure they get the most out of that relationship. How important are those big three vendors to us?
I mean, they're critical. They're critical. I mean, and the reason that Gamma has identified those partners as the places to go is just the weight of investment that they can put behind the things that they are interested in. And if you put them together, Amazon, Microsoft, Cisco, when we think about providing that forward-looking, flexible, scalable, secure communications infrastructure, none of them are totally complete in that. Each of them have strengths and weaknesses, but actually each of them are driven to excellence in the categories that they're in. So as an organization like Gamma, we can identify places where our own IP, our own uniqueness can add value, but it's not in the hyperscale, technology-driven innovation type things. It's about business model innovation for us and ease of use. So those partners for me are absolutely critical. They're the people who can go out and spend billions of dollars on an acquisition that changes their game overnight. And we, by being partners with them, are able to benefit from that too. And back to the elements and solutions, you're able to go, well, actually, this is the right vendor for this one. This is the right vendor for this one. We can create a solution that allows you to leverage those two best-in-class, three best-in-class experiences. And like I say, who else do you pick? The only other name that you mentioned is Google. And then they're not really so strong in that business communication space. So I think we've picked the three people who've got the greatest investment, greatest interest in the problems that we're trying to solve to.
If we look forward a little bit, and I know this came out with the CIOs earlier, I think it was bringing out the inner geek in us all in terms of obviously being curious, which I've always lent into being curious. I think you've always got to be doing that. And we think about what next. Before I get to the question, and I appreciate you might not be able to tell us everything about what next, because clearly for obvious reasons for that, but does being curious and in that sense, is that something you resonate with?
Totally.
And if you were to kind of sort of unpack, how can you be more curious? What do you think are the skill sets or mindsets, or how can others lean into that as a bit of a superpower, if you like?
Sure. I mean, so I go back to my past. So I'm a physicist by training. So you can argue the scientific sort of quest is curiosity about a problem. Yeah. So you kind of can't get away from it. So I am a geek, and I've got no problem with that at all. There's a bigger question of why on earth are you running marketing, but that's a different beast. So then curiosity, it's innate in some people and it's trained in others, and then they learn through experience that actually I develop a better understanding of a problem, and I'm better able to explain why the answer that I think is the answer is correct if you can answer the questions that somebody else will pose to you. And you can only do that if you're curious about the problem, you're curious about the options that could solve that problem in our context. And part of that, I mean, I say this because technology is brilliant, isn't it? I mean, you think about the change which has happened in our lives. How can you not be fascinated? It's sort of my default position, but obviously that doesn't work for everybody. So it's playing those roles where you can go, what is that? That's exciting. That's interesting. I talked about the real-time media model and the AI audio codec that Cisco did. Very, very abstract things. But actually, when you think about both the real creative genius technologically behind it, but actually the problems that it can solve, that curiosity for me is looking for two data points and being able to go, ooh, do you know what? There's something common here. There's something we can solve together.
So let's look forward. And I appreciate I'm probably going to take you to the edge here. But let's go there.
Let's go there. Hold hands.
Let's look forward. I guess let's ask it for the customers. What have customers got to look forward to as far as the product landscape looks like from Gamma?
I think they've got a bright future to look forward to. And I would say that. Of course I would. But I think if you go back to those three partnerships that we talked about, I think Gamma didn't lose its way because we know exactly what we want to be. But we have changed how we're going to go and solve those problems. We've gone from thinking we can do more of it ourselves to going, do you know what, we really can't. And I think if you think then about the what drives the sort of customer value that will come out of that is the investment that people are prepared to make, the hyperscalers. The virtue of picking those three organizations is that they understand that global scale is nothing without local touch. So for me, Gamma's in this really unique and interesting place with the relationships the enterprise business has with the channel partners we have serving SMEs, with our direct customer relationships, that we can be a real accelerator for their knowledge. And I think they understand that too. So I think the future is bright. I think if you look at the levels of investment that people have made behind those platforms, there's so much mileage coming in terms of delivering outstanding experiences for employees, for customers. You know, I've sat and listened to various keynotes from each of them, and they talk about, you know, not just what is the next cyber threat, but what is quantum networking? You know, where does IoT really go? And you kind of go, I mean, it blows your mind. You just don't know. You can't possibly know some of those futures. You talked a lot about AI. Who knows what that's going to unlock, actually? So for me, the key for Gamma in this is remaining agile, flexible, very close to the needs of our customers, but also very close to a wide range of people who can provide technology so that we can work our magic, which is stitching a technology into a solution. So I would go, it's very bright. We as consumers will drive a lot of that, the way that we want to communicate with businesses. And I think by being aware of that, being curious about what our kids are doing, your families, your extended families, your partner, that will help drive us towards those creative solutions.
You mentioned something there which is going to take us, I think, nicely to Good Together and the dog.
Yeah.
We're very customer focused. We're very customer led.
Yeah.
We listen to our customers, and that's what makes us pivot.
Yeah.
And we've pivoted many, many, many different times. I think that is the essence of being good together.
Yeah.
Before we get to the dog, though, good together.
Yeah.
Why good together? And what does being good together mean to you?
So why good together is nothing in any of the things we've created in either purpose, vision, mission, and values, the embodiment into dog has been our internal intellectual stimulating conversation. We've gone out and we've talked to our customers, to our partners, to our people, to prospects, people who know us, people who don't know us. And what they told us is, what is Gamma famous for? What are the things which, despite the pivots, we've remained true to? We've been consistent in how we turned up. And what they said was, we want you. You're in the business of communications. You enable it. You're good people. You see opportunity and you help us address it. And you're with us and you make decisions which are in the best interest of the partnership. So the word which described that is good together. And if you think about what good means, it actually has multiple different layers to it, doesn't it? Good business, it's profitable, it's recurring, it's a relationship that persists. But actually, we want to make a positive difference to the environment. We want to make a positive difference to the communities that we're part of. So we're really committed to making sustainability core to what we do, to foundation, and making sure we've got charitable giving and all. So good and together really come together to describe this organization, which, jumping ahead to dog, the metaphor that the dog is that loyal, trusted, supportive figure that gives you confidence and will be with you through thick and thin. And that's what we want to be. So the customers who've taken time out of their day to come visit us today, part of what we want them to buy into is, what is Gamma? It's Alex and it's Chris, but it's everybody who works for us as well. And that drive to work with each other to get through problems, ideally to fix the problems before they arise, of course, but making sure you've got that. And it's not just one and done. We get the money and we disappear. So good together for me is all of that. It's environmental, social, good business, repeatable business. People trust us. You want all of that wrapped in.
So we've got the Euro Championships just round the corner. Obviously, we've done a lot of work expanding in our geographies.
Yeah.
Where's that going to take us? What can we expect from our ambition there over the next sort of 12 to 20, 24 months?
Sure. I mean, if you think, the way Andrew, CEO, describes it is, we want to be the leading UCaaS provider in Western Europe. And I think we've got that in us now. You mean, you've seen some of the acquisitions talked about today. Coolwave, for example, really below the radar. They're liking that infrastructure layer, but so enabling, because telephone calls are difficult and different in different countries. So you've got to embrace that local difference if you're going to fulfill that ambition. But we're also, again, working with a Microsoft, for example, and you put those together. You've got Microsoft's global reach with Teams, and you put CoolWave voice infrastructure into all these different countries. And we've got the ability, I think, to create something which is, unique in that it's got that truly pan-European footprint, and it will break out beyond even that. You've obviously got customers much more far-flung places than that. I think you can see us getting to the point where we're seen, I hope, as much more credible and much more on that sort of day one list for consideration. If people are going, who's the person to go to solve my regional communication needs? And I think that's a place that your partners will be able to see us moving towards, customers rather, be able to see us moving much more towards over the next couple of years.
So closing comments, I think if you look at GX, Gamma Experience, I can't think of a better internal example of when we've been good together. Yeah. The way the business has just galvanized itself and it's come together, and the high standards that we hold ourselves about. But it's not just the good together, it's about our culture and our values as well, isn't it? Because unlike a lot of other organizations I'm sure we can all resonate having been in, we actually really do live our culture and our values. And I think that's what does set us apart. But I just want to take some closing remarks and comments to give us a wrap on the GX really. So what's your closing?
So I mean, I always think of it as if you're going to pitch it to someone who hasn't been, what's the reason to come? The reason to come is not because we're Gamma. It's because we're able to gather the people together who can help you think about your communication connection problems. And we can give you both practical today advice. We can help you with tomorrow's problem. But actually, we're already thinking a year, 2 years down the track on that. So for me, like you say, there's two elements. There's a human element, our teams working together within Gamma to bring it to life. You listen to some of the conversation amongst Gamma people, watching them interact. There's an energy. How do you harness that energy for sort of long-term good in the business? You've got the customers together talking about their experiences with Gamma and with others, creating a community again. And then you've got this genuine technological innovation, thought leadership, overused phrase, but it's true, and interest and curiosity of where does the future go. So you've got those three levels, the people, the problems, and the solutions coming together in one place. And I don't think there's an event like it in terms of where you get that balance of input and ability to share in our industry at all.
Spot on.
Cool.
So the dog.
The dog.
I'm going to put it on the spot here now.
Yeah.
It's the biggest cliffhanger, isn't it? Since like a Hollywood movie, this, isn't it? Yeah. Any ideas, the name?
So I tell you the story of the dog. It was the weirdest meetings I've ever been during the genesis of the dog. I never believed I'd be arguing about shape of a snout, shape of lips, ears, hair, all sorts. But it's so captivating. And whether you love it or you hate it, you're talking about it. And the evidence for me is there's 700 suggestions in the pot before we came here today from Gamma people of what's the dog's name. We've obviously added to it, giving the people here the chance to contribute to that. That it doesn't have a name. We will work out what the name is through that process because we want it to have life. Yeah. You want it to bring that curiosity, to bring that engagement. Watch this space.
I was going to say, I've got two I know it's not going to be. I asked Bernie actually. Well, I say that, I don't actually know, but I asked Bernie. She said Dave.
Dave.
You couldn't make it up, could you?
No.
You couldn't make it up. She said Dave. Apparently, one of the customer suggestions is Alex Hares.
Oh,
it's rubbish, isn't it? Please tell me that that's
we'll
not going to
we'll get the veto out on this. There's a team of people vetting, pardon the pun, the suggestions, and they won't make the list. Yeah.
It would be good to see some of the funny ones as well when we do land on what I'm sure will be a wonderful name for a wonderful dog. But thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure, Alex. Loved it. Thanks for having me. Cheers.